Hello, hello, and welcome to the program. Hello and welcome to the program. This is the Money Show reaching you from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Thank you all for being a part of the show again today. I am Nancy Ilo, okay? It's still politics, politics, politics. The campaigns, the campaigns, the campaigns. Elections are just some days away, and we're seeing the political gladiators, of course, slugging it out. Yesterday, the political parties, I think about 12, signed a peace agreement accord, of course, to avoid post-election violence. We really need to sound it into the ears of those politicians. We don't want what happened in Kenya to happen here. Of course, even if you don't win, you should just go back home and take the defeat, so to speak. If you don't win today, you may win to tomorrow. But the question, of course, is that what are these politicians bringing to the table? It's not just about giving us promises like they've given to us times without number, but it's about those promises. How are they putting those promises to work? It's all about walking the talk now, not just talking. Like I do say on the program that talk is cheap. But as we move towards the February elections, what are Nigerians expecting? I listened to Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, yesterday, saying that, of course, this election should be about how to fight poverty, how to fight hunger. Of course, hunger has no face or no coloration or no political party written on its head. Poverty also, it's in the land, just about 60% poverty rate in Nigeria, unemployment rate standing at about 24%, inflation single digits but still high. Anyway, of course, our naira is being battered right now. The stock market is down. So much confusion. Oil prices tumbling daily. Just about yesterday, oil price sold at around $45 a barrel from a high of about $120 in June last year. So we've seen oil prices dipping more than 50% in about 7 months. Nigeria's budget is predicated on $65 a barrel. The way it is right now, it may just be adjusted. But speaking to market analysts, some are optimistic that within the year, of course, that oil prices will definitely moderate at about 65 to 70 US dollars. But it's not ours to say because we don't control the market, though we are part of OPEC. Don't forget that OPEC at the last November meeting said that it would not cut production quota. It's left it unchanged at about 30 million barrels per day. Saudi Arabia is also echoing the same because Saudi Arabia normally is a swing partner, a swing producer, so to speak. But the way it is right now, there is, of course, economic gloom, so to speak. The World Bank also spoke. It's talking about global growth. I'll be giving you the details within a short while to see what the World Bank thinks about growth in the world moving forward. Just before I came into the studio, of course, the World Economic Forum in Davos is being there are talks about the global conflicts of course, in the world right now being a major part of concentration for everyone to look at. Boko Haram here, ISIS. What more can we say? Anyway, let's just get started by telling you, of course, I'll be giving you the top stories in a few seconds. And we'll be taking the interview that I did record yesterday because, of course, for those of you that are ardent viewers of the show, we couldn't come to you yesterday because of the political season, one way or the other. You know, yesterday there was a live broadcast of the conference on post-election or non-violence as we approach these elections. Of course, hearing Kofi Annan speak yesterday. So we talked about campaigns, elections, and the Nigerian economy. I had a representative from the People's Democratic Party as well as the APC join me here on the program yesterday, so I'll be bringing you that interview today. So, and I won't forget to also take you through the market numbers to see what the markets are doing globally. The Nigerian market is still seesawing. The all-share index, I'm afraid, I think has come down to about 29,000 points. Let me hold my brakes now. I'll give you the details in a short while. Let's get started by telling you that the National Bureau of Statistics on Tuesday put the inflation figure for December 2014 at 8%, as against 7.9% in November of 2014. With the December record, the Bureau said that the country had remained on a single-digit range for 24 consecutive months. That's 2 years that we've had inflation at a single-digit rate. The report said that food price went up slightly in December as a result of the festive period, rising by 9.2% from the 9.1% recorded in November, adding that this was the first uptick in rates of food prices for 4 months. All right, moving ahead, the Senate, of course, upon resumption, has said that it will deliberate extensively on the medium-term expenditure framework, the fiscal strategy paper, and of course the 2015 budget and the PIB. We've seen that, but we hope to get the last of it. Of course, it's a challenging time right now. It will be a difficult year, though I don't want to say that, so I don't be an angel of darkness, so to speak. But these are the reality of the times. The recurrent expenditures against the capital expenditure for this year. The government has proposed 4.357 trillion naira, just about 14 to 15% is earmarked to the capital expenditure, about 633 billion naira. What will that do anyway? But the federal government has said that, of course, belts will be tightened, that rich will be taxed as against the poor. If you're taking champagne, you'll be paying surcharges. If you want to buy a private jet, you would also be paying surcharges and all of that. If you have a house in Abuja that exceeds 300 million naira, you'll be paying a mansion tax. These are some of the buffers that the federal government has put together so that we will be able to wriggle through this tough time. But anyway, the World Bank has adjusted previous forecasts for economic growth globally, saying tougher times likely lie ahead. The institution now believes that the international economy will expand by just 3% this year and 3.3% in 2016, after predicting in June that growth would hover around 3.4% and 3.5% respectively. However, the World Bank warned that lower oil prices will hurt growth in countries which export oil, such as Nigeria and Russia, weighing on its global growth predictions. The World Bank expects the Russian economy to contract by 2.9% this year and to grow just 0.1% in 2016. The bank warned low inflation could persist in the Eurozone and forecast growth of 1.1% in 2015, rising to 1.6% in 2016 to 2017. In Japan, it expects growth to rise to 1.2% in 2015 and 1.6% in 2016. The World Bank predicts slightly stronger growth for the global economy and for the developing world this year. Anyway, let's quickly take a break. When we come back, I'll be running you through the numbers. It wasn't a pretty session at the Nigerian Stock Exchange yesterday. We saw a free fall of equities. I'll be giving you more details when we come back. To stay. From the surcharge and luxury items to the oil benchmark, proposed oil benchmark that is reduced from $78 to $73. You've heard the rationale behind this new economy. Do you think that growth change operators, which you are one of them, have lived up to expectation? Because Nigerian market on Wednesday was down by about 3.8%. The all-share index around 28,000 points level. The market cap also fell to 9 trillion naira. The deals traded finished at 5,151 transactions, while the volume closed at 488.6 million ordinary shares at a value of 3.81 billion. If we look at the gainers, we saw the likes of Unicorn Daikon as well as Presco PLC on the upside, while the top losers included Dangote Cement, Dangote Sugar, of course some of the market heavyweights, as well as Ashaka Cement. All right, moving over to other African markets now. The Ghana stock exchange is just slightly up by 11 points in early trade today, while the Nairobi Securities Exchange is trading at about 5,193.93 points. The South African market up by about 0.5%, while Sendex is just trading down about 3 points. If we take a look at the United States, where we saw the Dow Jones Industrial Average losing very sharply, 1.06%. The Dow, of course, witnessed the most loss in about 3 weeks, while the Nasdaq finished about 4,639.32 points. If we take a look at the European markets this morning, we're seeing some kind of positive numbers in early trade, from Germany to France to London. They're all trading in the green so far. Now, if we move over to commodities, where Brent crude is trading down today by just 2.6% at about $47 39 cents a barrel. Light sweet is around $47 also. Cocoa is just up by about 3 points. Okay. International currencies, the dollar against the euro, it's down nearly 1% at about 116. The dollar against the pound, it's down also by 34 points. It's 151. The dollar against the yen is trading down by just 8 points. All right, I think those are the market numbers. Let's quickly take a break. When we come back, the program continues. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, so welcome back. At this point, let me quickly launch the interview that I had with 2 gentlemen, Nonso Ozuemene, representing the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as well as Ben Ogutunashe of the APC. We looked at campaigns, elections, and the economy. I had to ask questions as it concerns the economy and, of course, how these parties want to address issues of the economy. I've said here on the program that perhaps these elections will just be based on 2 things, so to speak, the economy and the state of insecurity in Nigeria. I also did hear former President Obasanjo said that we should also put infrastructure. But of course, economy is broad-based and infrastructure is also a part of the economy. Of course, as we move towards the February elections, Nigerians will be asking the questions, or is my life better is my life better right now than last year? Is it better than 4 years ago? Has it been better in the last 16 years? Of course, when we transited to democracy. So these are some of the questions that I did ask the gentleman that joined me on the show. So just take a listen. I'll be right back. All right. Today we'll definitely be looking at campaigns, elections, and the economy. And I have my guests seated with me. You will definitely agree that I did say on the show some days, I've been repeating it times with a number, that economy has a lot to do with politics, and politics has a lot to do with the economy, because the politicians would make the policies. Whether those policies are positive or negative policies, it will definitely impact on the Nigerian people. And that is why on the program, of course, as we approach the February elections, we're looking at it on this show. Okay, let me start my introduction from my immediate left. Ben Ogutashe is the SA2, the Deputy National Chairman of the APC, of course, South. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you. And with him is a representative of the People's Democratic Party also. Of course, I needed to speak to the two big parties in Nigeria. And he is Nonso Ozomena. He is the National Youth Enlightenment and Mobilization Committee. Is a member?
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's get cracking. I will need you to look at me. I wouldn't want any distraction. Let's get cracking by asking you, and I will start with you. As we approach the February elections, for me, with my own analysis, I think they may be categorized, or what people are looking at as it concerns the elections will be on two things: the economy and the state of insecurity in Nigeria. And we've seen also campaigns towards that light. Is the APC, starting with you, is your party adequately prepared to tackle these issues, two hydra-headed problems?
Yes, we are adequately prepared to tackle the problem surrounding the economy, and we are also ready to deal with the issue of security. Our approach to the economic issue is the fundamental issue. We want to create jobs and we want to revitalize the economy. A lot of things are happening now that requires attention, but which we don't think are being given attention.
Okay, what's your own response to the PDP? Of course, has been there for many years now, and your party is seeking re-election. How prepared are you in tackling the issues of the economy as well as the issue of the state of insurgency?
Thank you for having me here. It is there on the public domain that the President Goodluck Jonathan led PDP has repositioned the Nigerian economy. I would probably want to accept that probably there might be one or two flaws in some economic policies, but overall we can rate him high, because as we all know, the economy of Nigeria is rated the biggest in Africa, and is a verifiable data. So as far as we are concerned in PDP, Mr. President has used through articulated policies like You Win program to create jobs for teaming Nigerian youth. And most important thing, the economy is in the hands of one of the most renowned economists in the world, and I think she's doing her best. That's the coordinating Minister of Economy, to reposition the Nigerian economy to be the best in Africa.
Now, with the reasons you've given me, I'm talking about the two parties now, those reasons may seemingly not be enough. You know why? Because talk is cheap. The APC saying we will create jobs. The question will be, how would you create those jobs? For the PDP, you've now said, that the president has been repositioning the economy since he came in. We understand that fact. But there are a lot of nagging challenges also staring us in the face. The issue of poverty is still there. The issue of unemployment rate still high is still there. The issue of infrastructure inadequacy is still there. So there's still a whole lot more for us to achieve. So let me come to you. Talk is cheap, I swear.
The first thing we are going to deal with is the issue of corruption. Corruption is a major dent on the Nigerian economy. It has affected the perception of potential investors. They are not coming in. Investment is moving out of Nigeria. Infrastructure, the inadequacy of it is a major problem. Power, that so much noise has been made about, it's not working, and that is part of the reasons why investors are moving out of the country. Now, if you do not address these issues, you are going to continue to have the insecurity that we have, because they are also related to each other. The bottom line for us is that we will need to focus on dealing with corruption, and we know that the person we have as our presidential candidate, at least all of us in this country agree that he is Mr. Incorruptible. So nobody is doubting that possibility. We are not going to be at the level where we are going to be defining stealing and corruption and comparing them as if one is greater than the other, one is not the other. That is not what we are seeing. Now, our response to the ongoing global issue about the oil prices has been very disappointing. We keep saying we have several scenarios with which we are going to respond. If the price of oil moves to $60 per barrel, we have a response. If it moves to $40 a barrel, we have a response. But the reality is that there has been no response. No scenario planning was put into it. For example, let me ask, how come pump price is not going down at the same time that the crude oil price is going down? How come we are not hearing about adjustment to the level of subsidy that is being paid in this economy at the same time that crude oil price is going down from $100 and something a barrel to $45 a barrel, that we now have it? The issue is that the response to the global changes have been very inadequate. Take note, the U.S. is no longer buying oil from us. We were hoping that Europe, Asia, China, India are going to keep buying oil from us. India will not buy except with some credit. We know this. Now, why are
India and China are still buying our oil?
They are buying, but they want to buy on credit. The issue is this: how can we be talking about credit sale of oil? It shows that things are collapsed. It did in the oil industry too. So that is the basis of the Nigerian economy. So if the oil industry has collapsed, I do not have a response in diversified economy. You have the kind of problem we have.
Now the question is, which you seem not to have addressed, because I did say a moment ago that talk is cheap. Anybody, even for me, I can come out and say I can print from the APC, not from your candidates, either your presidential candidate or your vice presidential candidate coming to say this and that. Anyone can go on the podium and say all of that. What workable things do you have to put this in place? You said your presidential candidate is known as Mr. Incorruptible. He's going to stamp out corruption. How is he going to do that if need be? Doing what you're supposed to do, or perhaps you're not doing enough. What's your response?
Anyway, I want to start from what my someone I call him my father because he's old enough to be my father to say. But then I want to pinpoint some things and make some things clear to Nigerians. When you make your fact, you try to make your fact to be something that is non-fictional. Now, coming to the level that investors has run out of this country, it is on record that for the last 3 years, the kind of inflow, foreign direct capital investment in this country has tripled. In the history of this country, we are talking about over $50 billion being invested. So what is the correlation between people living in the country and such investment? This is a total negation of exactly what is happening on ground. Now, the second part of it, when you say that the PDP-led government by President Goodluck Jonathan is not taking care of the needy, and I ask the question, we have a direct contact with the masses. When I mean that there are policies targeted on the Nigerian masses, and this is what we've been executing through the Shopee programs. And if you really look into the details of the Shopee program, it impacts directly on even the market woman on the street. So let us not falsify issues here and try to deceive Nigerians. I listened to the level of economic naivety on the part of the presidential candidate when General Muhammad Buhari said he would control the foreign fluctuation of oil. And I asked how. It is not why you control her in Nigeria. The issue is how do you manage this economy? We foresaw this, and that's why we went for the sovereign wealth fund. And most of these governors today are criticized this, that Nigerians should bring their wealth and share to their citizens. Our President Goodluck Jonathan, made it clear that we should reserve for the rainy days. So these are the feasible economic buffers that this administration put in place. So when you say such thing that we don't manage the economy well, that the Jonathan-led administration has lack of economic direction, and I totally don't believe that. And for crying out loud, we should tell Nigerians the truth. And I might maybe point one or two policies I'm not quite comfortable with, but in generality, I am saying that this economy has been well managed, and even economic minister confirm this, that we expect.
How well managed has it been? Because that will be where people will also ask questions. if it has been well managed, you take a look at the national budget yearly, the yearly national budget, and of course the budget is what is prepared to impact the citizens of a country annually or over a period of time. If you take a look at the ratio of recurrence to capital, it's still very, very for 2015, this year is about 85 to about 14%. That's recurrent to capital. So how would you justify the fact that the PDP-led government has managed the economy very well, bearing in mind that the cost of governance is still high?
No, yeah, I totally accept that this year only 85, but 2 years back it was 73%.
Yes,
and before 2 years back, it's been the least Nigeria has gone on the capital expenditure. And now I want to make a point blank about what you said about power generation. It's a constitutional problem. Power generation is in the what was it called? Is in the exclusive list. So it's not what Jonathan can change overnight. It's a constitution, and it requires a constitutional amendment for state to start generating power. And these are the facts you have to tell Nigerians. It's not as if President Goodluck Jonathan doesn't want state. He will gladly do that. But then it requires a two-third amendment in all the state assemblies and even the National Assembly. So these are the facts.
How about the issue which I just raised now? Yes, you will respond in just a moment. What about the issue I just raised now? You seem not to have attended to that issue, which is the issue of recurrence to capital. A lot of Nigerians have a problem with that. And there's no way you can develop, or perhaps infrastructure, or even the ordinary man on the street having the impact of government would also be through capital expenditure. For this year, the proposal is about 633 billion naira compared to over 2 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure. The question is the cost of governance. Is the PDP-led government also seeking for a re-election in Nigeria ready to say, let's cut the cost of governance?
Yes, even Mr. President has said that.
But what actions have we seen? The actions,
as I'm talking to you, November last year, there was a directive by the coordinating Minister of Economy that there should not be embargo on training of civil servants.
That was a reaction because of the tumbling oil prices.
Not exactly, that's what I'm saying. Now, we're talking about the population of our civil service. Nigeria is basically a civil service driven economy, as we talk, as far regards to consumption of recurrent expenditure in that particular aspect. That's why the president has taken some agricultural transformation initiative to diversify and de-emphasize the oil sector. And you can bear me the witness that the wonderful work that's been done by Adeshina Akinwumi is totally an exemplary aspect in this part of the world. The electronic wallet is first of its kind in sub-Saharan.
Perhaps is not willing. We're not seeing that political willingness to dislodge that Hydra-headed problem of the cost of governance. Yes or no?
No, they are working. Even the president accepted that the rate of recurrent expenditure is high. But there are some programs being initiated to curtail and stem them down minimal, and it doesn't happen overnight. And you see, I don't like making promises. I wonder where the hell that in this world that you can get money to pay for the fiscally challenged, for the 19 youth, over 80 million youths that are not working. It's not possible. We must tell Nigerians the truth. These are fictions.
Okay.
So where do you get that?
Okay, let me allow you to respond now.
You like to say Nigerian economy is the biggest economy in Africa. Whatever yardstick you have used to determine the size is left to you. But what we all know is that it is not the smartest economy. It is not a knowledge-based economy. This economy that we are dealing with is a consumer economy. It's not an economy that produces. Now, if we continue to gear our economy towards consuming, without the attention paid to production, we are in trouble. Now, when it comes to the overall issue of subsidy, all this issue of short-pit that you are talking about, all we are still doing is we continue to subsidize consumption. We are not subsidizing production. All of these issues about additional revolution has done in agriculture and so on is just on paper. Additional has merely ended up putting in the electronic format a way to subsidize consumption, not a way to subsidize production. That is the problem that we have. We must shift our economic framework.
No, but it may not be fair for you to say that statement, because we do know that, of course, the amount of monies that we use or we expend on perhaps rice importation, for example, or importation of food items have drastically reduced. So perhaps coming from your party may not be a fair statement. What do you think?
The emphasis of this additional revolution is about fertilizer. That is all the talk we have about. Here we have now put in electronic format the distribution of fertilizer. It is no longer one where corruption is and so on and so forth. That is not the issue we are talking about. How many youths are engaged in agriculture? How have they done, what have they done about pricing in agriculture so that the farmers continue to be encouraged? What have they done about the establishment of cottage industry so that we can at least begin to do primary processing of agricultural produce in this country? These are issues that we need to deal with. These are issues that has not been dealt with by this administration, and that is what we have problem with. These are areas we need to look at. Now, you see, when we keep talking about big in the size of the economy, it is not right. It is not. What we want is a smart economy. We don't want this giant size notion that we keep having that does not lead us anywhere. We have problem with that. Now you are saying, how are you going to get money to pay for the handicap for this?
Yeah, because it needs money. That's also a very cogent. That's also a cogent question.
The only way you can reduce the size of governance without creating a crisis in the nation is if you encourage private sector to become lively again. Because the people you are going to throw out of the civil service, you must be able to find them employment elsewhere. The reason why the cost of governance in a place like the United States is